Typical movie scenario. Cool guy decides he doesn't need armor fighting an army and decides to go at it alone only to get hurt and magically heal. But what if that could happen in real life? So far, research suggests that while Wolverine-like powers might not yet be attainable, stem cell therapies might one day allow us to regenerate limbs and much more. Today we'll discuss what stem cells are, their current and future applications, and why the topic is such a controversial issue. So first, what exactly are stem cells? Let's take a look at what people think they are and what their views on the topic is.
So, what I know about stem cells is that they're very controversial because some people have a problem with scientists researching with human DNA and think that they're playing God or something like that. But I think it's helped to hear and find out a lot about many diseases, so I'm all for stem cell research.
I don't know too much about them. I know they come from an embryo. It's like an embryonic stem cell or something. And the big issue is just, is the embryo alive or not? And that's the political question behind it. And that's pretty much all I know. I know they can be used to, or they can be, very useful to help with diseases, cure diseases and stuff. But outside of that, I'm not very knowledgeable about stem cells.
Okay, so our guests appear to be on the right track. But to understand the controversy a bit more, let's start by defining what an embryo is. An embryo is what results when an egg is fertilized by a sperm cell, and can be called as such for up to 8 weeks after conception or before the fetus begins to form any organs. This is where embryonic stem cells originate. Now, this can happen in one of two ways. The embryo can be produced artificially outside the body, known as in vitro, or the egg can be fertilized while still inside the host, also known as in vivo. So then what makes stem cells so useful? The answer is in the pluripotent nature of stem cells, which essentially means that the stem cell is capable of becoming any type of cell in the body. So how are stem cells obtained? The more controversial methods are through in vitro fertilizations and abortions. This is possible due to women donating their extra embryos once they have undergone either procedures. A newer method also suggests that stem cells can be harvested at birth by preserving a person's umbilical cord. And finally, researchers are discovering new methods that would allow the extraction of stem cells from full-grown adults, such as by using their skin cells. While some may only praise the scientific advancements using stem cells, others seem more concerned with the ethical implications such a technology could have. Those against stem cell research argue that a man should not hold that much power. Others suggest that stem cells should not be used at all because it's robbing a potential life in the case of embryonic stem cells, while yet others are more concerned with the side effects and the ethics of cloning. Those who support the research instead strongly stand by the potential of stem cells and its ability to cure a variety of diseases and disorders. So what have Americans had to say in the ethical and legal aspect of stem cell research? Well, ever since the first birth through in vitro fertilization occurred over 4 decades ago, interest in research regarding human embryo experimentation greatly increased. Moral and religious beliefs accompanied with political incentives, however, quickly led Americans to strike down any further research funded by federal funds through the Dickey-Wicker Amendment. People equated using human embryos for anything other than producing a child to murder. Consequently, those in favor of stem cells argued that using the embryos to potentially cure people of Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, and paralysis was far better than throwing away an unused embryo. 3 decades later, however, President George W. Bush still wasn't persuaded enough by the pro-stemmers as he vetoed twice a law that would allow the federal funding of stem cell research. Anti-stemmers started citing instances of when stem cell treatments went wrong to justify their views. Cancer, bone growth in eyes, and other improper treatments stroked fear in anyone who had even thought of supporting stem cell research. President Obama's approval of federal funding for stem cell research, controversy arose yet again, as political incentives were used to drive ideas that either praised or slandered the president's ethical views. People began to question more intently the future applications the technology could have. Following the cloning of embryonic stem cells, the public began to question the morality of cloning a human being, even though researchers insisted that that wasn't their intention. The law hasn't decided what to do with stem cells just yet. On one side, stem cells are potentially the future of medicine because of technological growth and their sheer potential. On the other hand, people worry about letting all of this power go to our heads as we try to master nature's course. We could cure diseases with these potential lives if we use embryonic stem cells, and we could even prevent future diseases by tapping into this invaluable resource. Unfortunately, we hardly know the side effects of stem cell treatments, be they fatal or worse. Here's where the law needs to intervene, to create the guidelines to shape our future knowledge about stem cells and to let the arguments fall to the side as we make sense of our new discoveries and decide just how involved with them we want to be. Where does this information leave us? While it's always cool to imagine having superpowers, imagine instead the good stem cells could have against disease. A world without chronic diseases, where cures are given instead of treatments, imagine all of the lives we could help. But what if we don't? Imagine instead the bad stuff we don't know that may cause more harm than good in the long run. The false hopes of cures and the new symptoms made in our rush to have power over death. Here is where the bureaucracy should step in to intervene. But on whose behalf? To regulate the research in favor of stem cells? Or to protect us from our own cellulousness? This is where we get you on a blank slate again. Think about the things you think are important to you. What do you believe? Your opinions are a combination of your moral decency as a member of society, your family and religion as they guide you and teach you in life, the history of medical advancements we've seen succeed and fail, your political affiliations hovering in suspense, and most importantly, the future. How do stem cells affect your future? What kind of world do you want in the next 5, 10, 50 years? What gains will we have made and what sacrifices will we have made in the name of progress?